What up, guys? Back again with another UFC Fight Picks video on the UFC Fight Night card, Barboza versus Lee. Let's go ahead and get started here on these fights. So we only got one fight pass fight. We got Tony Martin versus Keita Nakamura. So I'm gonna do some quick picks on some of these fights. So on this fight, I'm picking Tony Martin. He is the favorite, negative 235. I just feel like both these guys, are good grapplers, good on the ground, but only one of them, is the better striker, and that's Tony Martin. I think Martin has the better striking, and since the grappling will more than likely cancel itself out, I feel like Martin will just be able to outstrike Nakamura on the feet all day. He used to be a 155er though, so he is moving up a weight class, but he was always a big 155er, so I think he will do well in this weight class. Plus, Nakamura is not really a big guy anyway. So, yeah, I think Tony Martin here just wins by decision. So that's going to be my pick for that fight. Let's go ahead and move on to the FS1 prelims. Corey Anderson versus Patrick Cummins, two guys that are very similar. Both of them have, some suspect chins. Both of them have got knocked out a couple times. Both of them are good wrestlers, but once again, kind of like the last fight, one of them is a better striker, and that's Corey Anderson. I feel like Corey Anderson's a better striker. He has better boxing. Negative 141. I feel like that's kind of generous. I feel like Anderson should be a little bit more of a bigger favorite. Patrick Cummins is just strictly a wrestler. And I mean, both of these guys' chins, like I said, are pretty suspect, pretty questionable. Both of them are probably equally as bad. Anderson is coming off knockout losses, though. Let's go ahead and just take a look at this real quick. So I mean, he's getting knocked out against OSP, though, a heavy puncher. Against Manua, another heavy puncher. So I mean, there's no shame in that. But I mean, like I said, both these guys are similar, but if I had to pick one, I'll go ahead and take Corey Anderson. Like I said, I think he has better boxing. He has a reach advantage. And I feel like, yeah, maybe the grappling will be able to cancel itself out. Anderson does have worse taking the fence here on paper. So, I mean, if Cummins is able to get on top, I feel like Cummins might, have a slight, maybe a very slight wrestling advantage. But even with that, I still think Anderson's going to be able to take this fight, because more than likely he's going to stay on the feet. And Anderson has, like I said, better boxing. So we could see a knockout finish here. So I'll say Anderson, second round knockout. All right, guys, next fight we got CR Bahadursada versus Luan Chagas. So my initial pick was CR, but looked at it a couple times, and I went ahead and switched up to Luan Chagas. Chagas is actually a slight favorite at negative 125. I thought he was actually the underdog, but either way, so Chagas looked pretty good his last fight against Jimmy Wallhead. Looked very solid on the feet, has really good striking. Has been improving his striking. He's also a very young fighter, only 24 years old. All his wins are by finish. Like I said, he looked really good in that last fight, mixing everything up, good kicks, and ended the fight with a submission win. So this guy's dangerous on the feet, and he's dangerous on the ground. More dangerous on the ground, I would say. CR, this guy is just a power puncher. Striking seems kind of basic, but he packs a lot of power. Takedowns look kind of underrated, but I don't really see him taking the fight down to the ground. So overall, I think it's going to be a stand-up fight. CR does have that power, but I mean, Luan Chagas looks durable. And like I said, he also throws a lot of volume, because like I said, he looked really good in his last fight. He was flowing with every single strike, throwing lots of kicks, throwing very good high kicks, good punches. And he landed all kinds of volume on Jimmy Wallhead. So I feel like CR is more of a kind of like a one-punch type of guy. Doesn't throw too much combos, but has power. Whereas, like I said, Chagas has that volume and also has really good striking of his own. So I'll go ahead and take the younger guy here, Luan Chagas. And I think he gets it done again by finish. I think he'll be able to take the fight down to the ground, probably in the third round, and get that third round submission win. So I'll take Chagas here. All right, guys, next fight We got Merab Dvalishvili versus Ricky Simon. So I'm not too familiar with, I want to say both of these guys, especially Ricky Simon. I just went ahead and watched their recent fights, the recent last fight, I mean. Both these guys are wrestlers. Both of them wrestle a lot. I mean, their takedown averages are very high right here. So Dvalishvili lost a split decision, lost to Frankie Sains, a veteran at bantamweight. Whatever, it was a close fight, split decision. Even though he landed 11 takedowns, he still lost the fight. And Ricky Simon is coming off a win off the Dana White show. I think it's the Dana White Contender Series or whatever. So yeah, Ricky Simon used his wrestling to win that fight. Both of these guys' striking don't look that great, but I feel like Merab here is gonna look like the better fighter. I feel he's also the stronger fighter, and he really muscles those takedowns. So I mean, I really see this fight mostly playing on the feet, but I do feel like Dvalishvili does have a very slight wrestling advantage, even though both these guys are good wrestlers. But when I looked at Dvalishvili's page, he is also a black belt in judo. Let me go ahead and just show you guys that real quick. Down here, black belt in judo. There it is right there. Sambo champion. Favorite striking technique, high kick. That he also worked in construction, so you know this guy's got to be, pretty strong. Like I said, he really muscles those takedowns. And on the feet, I think both these guys are kind of even. And you're looking at Ricky Simon here being the favorite at -148. I feel like I'll just take the underdog here in this matchup. So I'll take Dvalishvili. I think he's underdog. I think he's a sleeper, and I think he could come through here with a win, probably a decision win. So that's gonna be my pick. Moving on to the feature fight on FS1 prelims, we got Ryan LaFlare versus Alex Garcia. So LaFlare's coming off a knockout loss to Cowboy Oliveira. Cowboy's been looking really good though, Brazilian Cowboy. Obviously he's coming off that good win in his last fight against Carlos Condit. But anyways, yeah, LaFlare got slept by Brazilian Cowboy. Alex Garcia's coming off a win against a Russian fighter. But I feel like LaFlare is still the better fighter here. I feel like he's more technical. He's a very good grappler, very good wrestler. His chin never really looked to be an issue. He just barely got knocked out in his last fight against Brazilian Cowboy. But he got caught clean. I think it was with an uppercut. So I mean, there's no shame in that. And Alex Garcia is a power puncher. He's not, a combination striker. He just mostly wants to wrestle you to the ground. But I feel like LaFlare has good enough wrestling, since he's a wrestler himself, to counter the wrestling and keep the fight on the feet and just kind of out-volume him. So I'll take LaFlare by decision. I think maybe he might even be able to get a third-round finish if Alex Garcia gasses, because this guy always seems to gas. I want to say halfway through the second round, and the third round for sure this guy's getting tired and he's gassing. So LaFlare could get a finish, but more than likely LaFlare by decision. Alright guys, so now for the main card, we got Jim Miller versus Dan Hooker. So I'm going to go ahead and take Dan Hooker. This guy knocked out Ross Pearson. Has really good stand-up skills. He's long for the weight class. I think he used to fight at 145. Now he's at 155. And he's looking good here at this weight class. He's fighting against Jim Miller, who's obviously a veteran. But this guy, I mean, how much more fights could this guy actually win? Getting older, getting slower. And I just feel like Hooker here is going to be too quick on the feet. And he also has a submission game, but I think more likely he's going to just keep the fight on the feet, avoid the takedowns. Miller doesn't really have great takedowns to begin with, so I think he should be able to avoid the takedowns and just piece up Jim Miller on the feet. So I'll take Dan Hooker to win. I mean, Miller's getting old, but he seems still, decently durable. Let me just look at his last fight. Jim Miller, where you at? Yeah, his last, actually, I mean, he's been losing, but he hasn't been getting knocked out, though. I mean, Trinaldo, decision loss. Anthony Pettis, decision loss. Poirier, decision loss. And Poirier's a beast. And all these, all three of these guys are pretty decent fighters. So, I mean, like I said, this guy's not really getting finished that much at all lately. So, I mean, maybe it's time for him to get finished. So, you know what? I'll go ahead and just say Dan Hooker. I'll say third round knockout, guys. Third round knockout. This guy's a finisher, and I think he'll find the way to get the finish. All right, guys. Next fight: Aljamain Sterling versus Brett Johns. I think this fight's a pick'em here on the odds. Yes, it is. -110. So I'm gonna go ahead and take Brett Johns. He's undefeated. Looks pretty good in his UFC career here so far. Lands a lot of takedowns. Coming off a quick first round finish against Joe Soto, catches him with that submission. Looks like he's getting better with his striking. And Aljamain Sterling never really impresses me too much, and he is coming off, I think, a bad knockout loss to Marlon Moraes. I'm pretty sure. Let's double check. So yeah, he got knocked out in that first round not too long ago. Before that, he gets a win against Barao and Augusto Mendez, and then he loses to Asuncao. Brett Johns, I mean, he hasn't really fought really high level guys, but he's been looking pretty good. He's undefeated. Like I said, he has that first round submission win against Joe Soto. Albert Morales, that guy's kind of like, I want to say he's well rounded, but he's not too well known. Quan Ho Quack, I think that guy has no ground game. So this is a solid test for Aljamain Sterling. I mean, for Brett Johns, and I think he's gonna be able to pass this test. So I'll take Brett Johns, more than likely to win this fight by decision. All right, guys. Next fight, we got David Branch versus Thiago Santos. So, I mean, both these guys, high-level guys here. David Branch coming off a loss to Luke Rockhold in a fight where he actually kind of looked like he hurt Rockhold early in that fight. Just couldn't get the job done. But he is coming off a loss to Rockhold. Thiago Santos, though, this guy's on a tear. Let's go ahead and just look at the stats here real quick on their fighter pages. But man, Santos been getting knockouts left and right lately. I mean, just look at that shit right there. So his last loss was to Eric Spicely. He got tapped out in the first round. Before that, after that, now he's been on a tear. He knocks out Jack Marshman, second round by knockout. Knocks out Gerald Mearshart, also in the second round by knockout. And then knocks out Jack Hermanson in the first round by knockout. That was an impressive win. And against Anthony Smith, also knocks him out in the second round. So, I mean, this guy's just sleeping everybody. Everybody already knows that Thiago Santos has nasty kicks. He's a very explosive striker. He throws all his strikes with power, and he has excellent multi skills. David Branch, though, I mean, this guy has some good boxing. He's good on the feet. I actually picked him to win against Luke Rockhold, but he just didn't come through in that fight. So I mean, it's gonna be a good fight, and I know Santos is a pretty heavy favorite here, -186, almost 2-1. I feel like David Branch has a chance to win this fight. He has a really good, solid ground game. Santos' weakness is more than likely the ground game, or if you actually, catch that chin clean, because Thiago Santos, doesn't have the best chin either. But Branch doesn't really have much power, so I mean, David Branch more than likely is going to have to win this fight either by just cleanly outstriking Thiago Santos with his boxing, which could happen. But more than likely, Branch is going to be able to win this fight. He's going to have to take down Thiago Santos and use that black belt, that he has in jiu-jitsu, because he has a really good black belt. So, if he wants to win, more than likely he's going to have to beat him on the ground. But I just feel like Santos is on such a tear that I'm going to have to pick him, guys. But I do think Branch does have a chance to win. But I just feel like Santos is going to keep the ball rolling. And even though Branch seems durable, I think he'll find a way to get the finish. So I'm going to go ahead and say Thiago Santos. I'm going to say second round knockout. All right, guys. Next fight, we got Justin Willis versus Chase Sherman. So very easy fight to pick. I'm taking Justin Willis. Yeah. I just think, he has too much power. Really good wrestling. And I feel like Chase Sherman's chin, this guy's chin is, sometimes he'll take a lot of shots, but I mean, his last fight he got slept against Shamir Abdurakhimov, and that guy doesn't, really have much power. I mean, he's heavyweight, but he's not really a power puncher, and he was able to sleep Sherman in the first round. So Justin Willis, this guy has a lot of power, and I just think he's going to be able to easily knock out Chase Sherman in the first round. Also, Chase Sherman has really bad striking defense, and he gets hit way too much. And also, Justin Willis trains out of AKA. Last I checked, anyway. So great training partners there. And yeah, I mean, negative 315. I'm pretty sure Willis is. I mean, it's a heavyweight fight, so he's not super safe, but in my eyes, I do think he is a solid win here. So I'll take Justin Willis, first round KO. All right, guys. Moving on to the co-main event, we got Frankie Edgar versus Cub Swanson. So these guys fought each other a couple of years back. Let's go ahead and just take a look at the stats here real quick on that fight. Anyway, 5-round fight. It was a 5-round fight though, last I remembered. Where are you at? So there we go. It was in 2014, so it's been pretty much a little bit above 3 years already. About 3 years and a half or something like that. And yeah, man, Frankie Edgar, does what he does. 7 takedowns, tons of strikes, and he was also able to get the 5th round submission win. So obviously Edgar dominated that fight. Cub Swanson thinks, he got better, and so on and so forth. And Edgar is coming off a knockout loss to wait, was it? Yeah. A knockout loss to Brian Ortega. I thought maybe he caught him with a submission, but nah, Ortega did knock him out. But yeah, he's coming off that first round knockout loss in March. I mean, that wasn't even that long ago, guys. That's less than 2 months ago. So, I mean, could Cub Swanson actually knock out Edgar? It's possible, yes, but I just feel like Edgar's gonna, well, first of all, he's gonna be a lot more cautious, and he's gonna go right away for those takedowns, and he's gonna be able to get them. I don't think Swanson has good enough takedown defense to avoid him. And Edgar, he smashed Rodriguez, not that long ago. And obviously Rodriguez doesn't have really good ground game, but, he smashed him. And just because, he gets smashed by Ortega doesn't mean this guy's, doesn't mean that he's done yet. So I'm gonna go ahead and just take Frankie Edgar. I just feel like his groundwork is going to win him the fight. I feel like it's going to be a similar fight. And also that last fight, against Swanson that he fought, that was a 5-round fight. This is a 3-round fight, so that means Edgar's gonna be able to push the pace even more, which pretty much means that Edgar's gonna be able to win the fight just quicker, pretty much, because he's gonna have more gas tank, and he doesn't have 5 rounds to work with, so he's gonna have more energy. He's gonna get the takedowns easier, and yeah, he's gonna go for that. He's gonna go for that win. So I'll take Edgar to win, more than likely by decision. Alright, guys, so now we're on to the main event. Edson Barboza versus Kevin Lee. So I'm going to go to take Edson Barboza here, guys, in this matchup. First of all, he's just a great striker. Excellent striking. Lightning fast kicks. Always improving his boxing. Excellent takedown defense. Obviously, he did get mauled by Khabib, but Khabib's a different type of guy. Kevin Lee, also another good wrestler like Khabib, but he's just not as good, and he's not as heavy with that top control as Khabib is. He's not as relentless that Khabib is, and also Kevin Lee's a lot more chinnier than Khabib. So I feel like Kevin Lee can get knocked out. I remember when he got knocked out by that BJJ guy. I don't even know what happened to that BJJ guy, but that guy knocked out Kevin Lee, and Barboza has a ton of more power. And he's just way better on the feet. So I see Barboza getting a knockout here in this fight. I think Kevin Lee will look good, probably first and second round. But even then, Barboza's going to be quick. He's going to be explosive, and I think he's still going to be able to stop the takedowns. So I see Barboza getting this knockout, probably second or third round. So I'm going to go ahead and just say second round knockout, guys. I think he's going to be able to get it done. I think he's going to be able to stop the takedowns. He just fought Khabib, so this guy's got to be training all kinds of wrestling. And I know Kevin Lee has, decent striking, but, he's not going to be able to hang with Barboza on the feet. That's just what I think. So, yeah, guys, I'm taking Barboza here to win by second round knockout. Alright, guys, so that does it here for my picks. Let me give you guys my most confident picks. So, I got Justin Willis being one of my most confident picks, followed by... Who else did I have in here? followed by Dan Hooker, and who else? Tony Martin or Edgar? I'm gonna say Frankie Edgar. So those are my top 3 most confident pick guys. Frankie Edgar, Justin Willis, and Dan Hooker. Least confident pick would have to be. Let's see, who's gonna let me down here? Who's gonna let me down? Least confident would have to be. Santos could let me down, but let's go ahead and just go with M.O.E. Dvalishvili. I mean, so what if Ricky just starts bombing on M.O.E. on the feet? Just has better striking overall, and he just wins the fight like that. So I think M.O.E. could let me down, but like I said, he's an underdog, he's a sleeper, and I think I'm willing to take the chance on him. So, anyways, that's gonna be it, guys. Here for my picks. Let me know who you guys picked on your guys' fights. Let me know what you guys think about my picks. But that's gonna be it for this video, guys. Subscribe for more. I do these UFC fight picks videos every single time there's a UFC card. So subscribe for more, like I said. And what else? Oh yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. So just enjoy the fights, and I'll catch you guys on the next video.